And welcome back to this part of Natural Bodybuilding Radio. As promised, we said in the opening, we have Stephen Ewer here. He's the owner of Cocoon Nutrition. He's a degreed nutritionist. He's been in practice for over 20 years, and here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Stephen Ewer. Stephen, how's it going?
Yeah, hi, Michael. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate the opportunity to share with all your listeners.
First, I'm kind of curious as to how you got started in this business. You decided that you've been in practice for over 20 years, so you've got a vast array of knowledge on the topic of nutrition. So you decided to start up your own supplement company and start Cocoon Nutrition, and how did that unfold for you?
It started when I was 15 and a half, and I had a couple of large mercury fillings put in my teeth for cavities that made me very sick the very same day. And then within a few days, the sore throat was not resolving itself, so I was taken to a doctor to be given antibiotics, and I was given antibiotics not for the normal 10-day round, but for 20 days to knock out this thing. I'd never been that sick in my whole life. And what happened was within a few weeks and months of this, these fillings and this antibiotic usage, my elimination stopped working, so I started to have chronic constipation, and the issue became life-threatening, unable to eat. And for 4 years, I basically fasted, semi-starvation diet, just because when so little is going out, you can't eat very much. And so by age 20, I had adrenal exhaustion, and then I experienced an injury on the job, and all these things happened. And while I was recuperating for about a year, I learned about an intestinal cleanse, and it cleaned out all this tire rubber type stuff out of my intestines, just old fecal matter. And I felt reborn. I felt renewed and happy and spiritually connected and loving and happy, upbeat. It was just amazing. It's like a 10-day juice fast I did with intestinal cleansing agents. And from that point forward, I realized that, all the efforts to achieve some enlightened state of living where happiness is the predominant emotion one lives with, that I had sought to achieve with religious and, reading the Bible and studying Christianity and trying to achieve it through those means didn't do it, but the simple body purification, drinking live raw vegetable juices and, paying attention to my diet in a really healthy way restored to me a quality of emotion that was so profoundly superior to anything I've ever experienced in my life that I said, I'm totally in love with this subject of nutrition. So I continued to pay close attention to the subject and play around with my diet through the years, and it's evolved. And I had several other health challenges, but then come 24 years from that time till later, I learned about mercury, the symptoms of mercury poisoning, and I underwent a mercury detox program under the direction of this medical doctor that gave me the information. And within 9 months, my mercury that had come out of my system was high enough that my elimination became 75% normal, finally, for the first time in 24 years. And I continued with, I guess you could say, less aggressive program of mercury detox and eating foods more in their raw state for the next 5 years. And then my bowels became 95% normal. So basically, that early chronic disease of chronic constipation took 24 years to figure out how to reverse it. I did. And now I have good digestion, good elimination, and, that whole journey, you learn tons of information. I got a nutritional degree in the process. I went into practice in 1990 and I've worked with, just about every topic or every particular label of an illness you could think of. And there's a lot to this subject that we should all learn about in the 7th grade. I mean, we should learn a lot of this stuff when we're kids, so that we're not at the effect of advertisers and not at the effect of being deceived that, any kind of refined food is worthy of being put into your body, because you can make things that are natural and organic taste more delicious than most any refined food you can concoct. So, it's been my personal path, and I've learned a lot, and now I can sit here and basically speak with a lot of experience about all these different topics, and help people shorten their time window to regain their health.
Well, that's a great story. Now, I want to get into one of your products in particular. That's One World Whey. What's it produce? 100% unheated whey protein powder. Is that what it is?
Yeah. It's actually an industry first. About 12 months ago, I was introduced to this product by the inventor and was not impressed when I was just told, hey, I'm sending you some protein samples to try, because I have taken whey protein powders in the past. I'm a skinny, lean guy that never gains weight, and I've taken quite a few whey protein powders, and they only exacerbated my existing constipation and created bloating, and I didn't feel any better. I felt more probably funky on them. So I was not impressed at the idea of trying a whey protein powder, but when I took the product, I was so impressed with the results, feeling better, more energy, a little more upbeat mood, that I call, and it tasted so fantastic that I said, what is this stuff? I called him back up and I asked him, and he said, well, I've developed a way whereby I'm able to dry the product through a 7-step cold dry process so that it's never pasteurized, it's never heated. And I also do some other things to it, and I use a non-heated stevia. It's a cold water extracted non-caloric natural sweetener from the stevia plant. And he also puts in there, again, cold processed strawberries in one flavor, and then was cold processed vanilla or cold processed chocolate. So you get all the flavor of those foods, the antioxidant power, the nutritional benefits, but no synthetic flavor. And it's just phenomenal, the taste, the sweetness, the satisfaction. But the health benefits are like beyond anything I've ever seen. The reason being is that this is the first ever where someone's achieved a whey protein powder where the proteins are in their non-denatured state. There are protein powders on the market that claim to be non-denatured and cold processed, but in my investigation, every single one of them has pasteurized their milk first. Then when they separate their whey liquid away from the milk, they then don't add any heat to the process of finishing the removal of the lactose, the removal of the fat, or maybe they're going to filter it and make it an isolate and concentrate it further. All those steps they do without heat, so they call this a cold processed whey protein powder. But the product was heated prior to ever being in its liquid whey state when it was in the milk. It's like similar to saying, I've cooked a steak, put it in a Ziploc bag, put it in the refrigerator, and then I decide to take it out of the refrigerator and put it into another refrigerator, and the step from one refrigerator to another refrigerator is cold processed. I mean, that's how silly it is. So when you cook something pasteurization-wise to 161 degrees for 15 to 20 seconds, one or more times, or 145 degrees for 30 minutes, you denature a considerable percentage of what's there. Denaturing is simply bending and twisting and changing the shape of the amino acid that's in the protein. So the analogy is, if you have a bricklayer who's given a pallet of bricks and 70% of those bricks are bent and twisted, then he has to sift through that pallet of bricks to find 30% of those bricks that he can use to build a wall with. So these unusable bricks build up around his workspace. He has to work 70% overtime and fatigue his body to get this wall built with only 30% usable bricks. It's the same with the human body. When you consume a denatured protein, which is a heated protein, you're getting only, like with meat, for instance, you're probably only getting about 30% or 25% of the amino acids are usable, and the other are not because of this bending and twisting or denaturing or damaging of the amino acids that happens from cooking it. And then this, of course, puts a burden on your kidneys and liver because they're responsible for eliminating an unusable amino acid, the nitrogen waste, the ammonia, and then this puts this work on the liver and kidneys, which is why there's that caution given to bodybuilders around protein consumption to not take too much because you can actually harm your liver. And it's not because protein inherently is toxic to the liver, it's because damaged amino acids are inherently toxic to the liver. So we've achieved a non-denatured whey protein powder that no one else has ever done, and the effect has been phenomenal. One was a senior citizen in her 90s that was bedridden, low energy, cranky, whatever. She was given a raw milk product with spirulina protein powder prior to this, and she liked the raw milk, but it didn't improve her health at all. And then a friend of mine gave her the whey protein powder, this One World Whey, with the raw milk, and the very first day she took it, she had energy come to her and got out of bed, and her appetite came back, and within the first 7 days of taking this one scoop a day, she gained 2.5 pounds of muscle. I had another invalid like this where she was a cancer patient down to 89 pounds, and within the first week on the whey protein powder, she gained 3 pounds of muscle. So those are a couple of, cases of people that are not absorbing protein as well, both in the gut and or in their tissues because of their age or their debilitated condition. But there's also the general average guy that's maybe listening to this show that wants to build muscle. I have 2 cases that are rather impressive where one guy told me that after 2 weeks on the product, he experienced a massive detoxification where the glutathione production in his body has increased so much that he experienced this rash on his face and around his eyes. And it went on for 3 days, and then it went away for 5, and then came back for 3, and then away for 5, and then back for 3, and now it's gone permanently. And this rash was because his profession has been a metallurgist where he always had metal particles on his face, and these metal particles became embedded to a degree, and there was always an itchiness around his face, he said, and his eyes. And as a result of being on this One World Whey, it has a rich level of non-denatured cysteine in it, which is the precursor, the missing amino acid that combines with the abundantly available glutamic acid and glycine in your cells, and those three amino acids, when they combine, create the peptide called glutathione, and this is the master antioxidant, the master detoxifier of the body. Every cell of the body is supposed to have 10% of its protein content is supposed to be glutathione, and due to toxicity and aging, it isn't. So he experienced this rash during this period of time, got rid of all the heavy metals out of his face, all the itchiness around his eyes went away, and then he said also that he gained muscle in his chest and arms without any further exercise or activity. Another guy called me yesterday and told me that same thing with him. His energy has dropped off, his soreness when he works out is really bad, just hasn't had the strength or energy to do anything with regards to working out and gaining muscle. He gets on the Whey protein, or One World Whey, and tells me that his energy, his strength has returned phenomenally well, and he's gaining muscle just easily now. It's like amazing how easy it is for him now. And so this product is relatively new. It's only been on the market for about 10 months, so not too many people know about it, but it is growing in popularity every day on all fronts, both the health-giving fronts, the taste appeal. It's just phenomenal.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like people are getting their money's worth out of this once they start taking it. Seems to me that One World Whey is in a category all by itself. It's unheated whey protein powder from start to finish. Now, can you compare the price of One World Whey to other heated whey protein powders?
Yeah, good question. Every other whey protein powder on the market undergoes pasteurization, so they are heated, so therefore we are in a category all by ourselves. But those that claim to be grass-fed and non-denatured, meaning they've taken an extra step, where after they pasteurize it, they cool it down more quickly. So then rather than letting it take 3 hours to cool down, they'll cool it down in 30 minutes. So there's less denaturing going on in those products than the ones that don't do that. They are, therefore, the next closest possible whey protein powder of any comparative value to ours, and their price range is anywhere from $1.97 per serving or per ounce to as much as $3 and above per ounce. I think one's up to, $3 I think is the most that I've seen. There's one on the market that's even higher than that. It's ridiculous, but I didn't even put it on my list. But basically, ours is $1.93 an ounce, and everybody else's is about $1.97 on up. So we're still actually the most economical on the market when you're comparing us to the top-end whey protein powders that are claiming cold processed.
Wow, that definitely sounds like something to try out now. And just for the listeners out there, what's your website that they can go check out your products on?
They can check it out on oneworldwhey.com, which is the word one, O-N-E, world, and then whey, W-H-E-Y.com. And there's actually an excellent report they can download. It's a 26-page report that I wrote to cover the whole topic if they want to read about it in depth, all the studies on whey that have been done and the results that have been achieved, even on the pasteurized stuff that can be very impressive. And then there's some great audio testimonies and great written testimonies that go into greater detail, and you can just get confirmation about it working by listening or reading those testimonies. And they can also call us at 888-988-3325. We're here from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, East Coast time.
Plus, they got a Facebook page, so be sure to check out Cocoon Nutrition on Facebook, like their page, become a fan. And, yeah, check out that website. Sounds like something that everybody should be trying out. And it sounds like you're filled with a wealth of knowledge, too. And next time we're going to have you on as a regular guest instead of just in the opening. Sounds like you can answer a lot of questions for us and put a lot of debates down to rest. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, I welcome the opportunity to come back on your show, Michael.
Yeah, so Stephen here, he's new with us. He's a brand new sponsor of the show, Cocoon Nutrition. Be sure to check him out at cocoonnutrition.org. Stay put. When we get back, we're going to be talking to IFPA pros. We're going to be talking to Courtney Bean and also Alexandra Ellis. Talk to you when you get back. Thanks, Stephen.
All right. Thank you, man. You guys have a good evening.
You're listening to the Dave DePew Network, the voice of fitness.